gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Coal Country Podcast, where we discuss everything WVU sports. I'm your host, Ian McIntyre, and joining me on the show, as always, we got Tyler Cobb and Matt Howe. Gentlemen, how are we today?
I'm happy to be here. How are you?
As am I. I'm very good. How about you, Tyler?
Wonderful. Less wonderful about the results yesterday, but
we'll get to them.
A couple of days ago for you, but yesterday for us.
Yeah, we'll get to him. So we don't have Max with us, so that's a loss. But yeah, he's a college student, just like the rest of us. We got stuff to do.
Indeed.
So we're all taking care of our lives, and if he has to miss a show, he has to miss a show. But he will be on the next one. 99% sure he'll be on the next one. All right, let's talk about basketball.
Let's talk about basketball starting.
All right, so we're going with women's basketball first. Gonna dive into that, and we're recording on Wednesday. So both basketball games we're going to be talking about mainly happened yesterday on the Tuesday. So when this comes out, you'll have context. The women played Baylor yesterday in Waco, and we took the L, 75-65. We were down by more than 10 for a lot of the game, actually. We did not shoot well. You have the stats pulled up here I'm trying to peek off of.
Yep.
So 36% from the field. I know at one point it was lower than that, but we raced it a little bit towards the end. We started getting turnovers. I didn't watch all of this game. I watched like halfway through the third quarter and then on to the end. 24% from three isn't great either. I saw Kaya airball a three, which kind of symbolized the whole game. Did you guys watch this? I didn't even ask that.
I was at the men's game while this was happening.
Okay.
So I didn't get to watch a whole lot. Watched some highlights afterward. Did some studying up on the stats afterward, and it just seemed like we couldn't hit a shot. I mean, when you are putting up 11 more shots than the opposing team and you still managed to lose by 10, and it wasn't like they had a bunch of free throws. The free throw was 20-21. They just hit two more than us.
The free throw percentage, talking about free throws, was off as well. We missed too many. Jordan Harrison missed 3 straight free throws down the stretch, which is so unlike her. So
yeah, 50% for her from the free throw line.
It was bad. Free throw margin. If you look in the turnover battle, we won it, but it was only by 5 turnovers, and it was 16-11. So we normally don't turn the ball over 11 times in a game.
No, it's a little uncharacteristic, and the turnover differential is normally bigger than that in our favor. Got out rebounded by 6, and like I said, just couldn't hit shots. If you're going to put up 25 3-pointers in a game, you got to shoot better than 24%. It's not going to get it done.
Agreed.
And, I got to watch the end of the game. I didn't get to go to the men's game. I had a late class, but when I got out, I got to watch most of the second half for the women's game and just had a tough time scoring. I think about sums it up. And you can tell in the shooting percentage, they just outshot us, almost 2-1. 3-point, they had double the 3-point percentage. It just we weren't really putting up a good fight in that regard. Defensively, we didn't look bad. It's just, when the other team is scoring more than you, you're going to lose the game, and that's what happened.
We talked last week about how there wasn't really, somebody stepping up behind JJ. Well, this game, JJ did not play well. I mean, still had 17 points. Was the second highest scorer on the team, but she shot 5 for 19 from the field. Only 1 for 6 from 3, so she did not have a good game. But Jordan Harrison stepped up. She shot the ball well, obviously not from the free throw line like you alluded to. Only 50%, got to be better. But she was the leading scorer with 20. So somebody outside of JJ did step up, but there wasn't enough around her to get it done. So tough loss, especially because the women's team still doesn't have a quad 1 win. And I don't think that that's going to keep us out of the bracket. I mean, we're pretty safely in the bracket for the women's team. But it sucks because you look at the teams you've played that are your tests, basically, for when March comes. And that's been Baylor, that's been Texas, that's been Arizona. And you've fallen flat against every single one of them.
And it was Oklahoma State at the time when we played them in Stillwater. Yeah. When I was watching this game, biggest thing I saw, it was who had the most effort when it came to runs. Because it seemed like there were moments, especially in the second half, where Baylor would go on like a 7-0 run, and then we'd go on an 8-0 run, and then they'd go on like an 11-0 run. I'm probably exaggerating those, but
it was pretty close. I when I started watching, we had a 10-0 run, and I think we were down 16 at the time, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they just turned it around, did the exact same thing, and it's like you catch up almost, and then you stop playing for 2 minutes, or
yeah. And I think a lot of it was when we were on our runs, one bad thing would happen, like we would get called for an unnecessary foul that we committed, or we'd miss a shot, or we'd have like multiple offensive rebounds and just couldn't capitalize. There's a lid on the rim, and then Baylor goes down on a fast break and scores a layup. That's demoralizing, and I think that was a lot of what happened to them last night. So, like you were saying, they still need to have a win to prove themselves for March. We'll get to the bracket later. We're looking good for the bracket as a 6 seed right now. Obviously, stuff moves around, but it's not entirely demeaning for the team in the big picture at all. But it's just when you look at these wins that we need to have as a confidence boost, it sucks whenever you lose them.
The problem is we're beating the teams we should beat and losing to the teams we should quote unquote lose to. Like, I don't want to say that because obviously Baylor's ranked lower than us, but they've got a better record, better conference record. Like, Baylor's a good team. So when it comes to those test games where you have your chance to prove that you belong among the best of the best, you've fallen flat every time. So sooner or later, something's got to fold. You've got to beat somebody to prove that you deserve to be there.
I think we will come March.
I hope so.
I think we'll beat a team. But the games so far that have got me down about this women's team, the Colorado loss was a bad one. I think that was our worst loss on the season so far, because in this Baylor game, I was looking at ESPN during halftime in the men's game, and the matchup predictor had it 53-47 Baylor. So I'm like, that probably has a little bit to do with the road trip factor. Like, we've been in Texas for like a week now. And I think ESPN was right predicting that we were a little tired being on the road. But again, like we were saying, that's not an excuse. But we should beat Baylor.
That can't be an excuse
honestly.
after seeing what BYU just did to our men's team. They were on like, a 3. Well, I mean, we'll get there. I don't want to jump.
Yeah, but you're right.
Shouldn't be. You got to find ways to win in spite of that.
You're right. There are just a lot of games where you get down early, and the true test of a great team is finding a way to win in those situations.
Yep.
That's a huge measuring metric for me, and we haven't had a game like that yet, so we're still waiting on it. But again, we still have hope for the women's team. I think we're still going to do well in Kansas City, and I think we're a Sweet 16 team.
I hope so. I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, but I hope so. I think Cincinnati Saturday is going to be a get-right game.
Absolutely. So you're looking at ESPN matchup predictor right now, and we're 97-3.
Yeah. Big difference.
97% to win this. Is Cincinnati the worst team in the conference? I think they are in women's basketball. You can check that.
They are not even close.
Houston. Oh, dang. Houston's all the way down
Houston, UCF, 1-12, 1-11.
Huh.
Cincy is doing all right for themselves, actually. So not a gimme game, but should be an easy win. So
it should be a double-digit win.
As long as you don't go in and mess around, we should be all right. And we've been pretty outstanding at home this year.
I think it may have to do with turnovers. We get so many more turnovers at home because of the crowd atmosphere at women's games. And we'll get to the crowd atmosphere later, too.
Yeah.
That's another thing we got
a
to
lot
talk
about.
We keep reminding ourselves of these things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Cincinnati should be a get-right game. And since you have it pulled up, you want to move on to the women's bracket. We'll talk about this a little bit.
Bracketology. This is more of an issue when it comes to the men's team. We're getting a little nervous sitting at the edge of our seat at the end of every game. For women's, we're pretty safely in. I don't think anything will change that unless we somehow manage to lose the remaining games. But we're the ESPN bracketology has us as of February 11th, I believe. They updated it. They update it every day. Has us number 6 as the 6th seed in the Region 2, and our first matchup would be either Harvard or St. Joseph. Again, like you said, these are going to change.
It'll be another Ivy League matchup, just like last year.
Yeah, another Ivy League. Who do we play? Princeton?
Princeton.
Princeton. Again, it'll change. This isn't a terrible draw if that's what it ends up being. It's not a great draw either. You end up like if you make it out of your region, you end up playing what would more than likely be UConn. You've got Oklahoma and Maryland in there, and then South Carolina as well. So again, it'll change. Not a great draw, but we just wanted to update you guys on the bracketology because that's where we stand as of right now. And again, this is going to be more important when we talk about men's basketball here in a second because we're getting a little nervous. But as for right now, West Virginia seems to be safe in the women's March Madness and with an okay type of draw.
Yeah. And before we move on to men, I will tell you viewers that we want to revive the Q&A session. And in order to do that, comment and tell us what you think about anything we say. Bracketology for the women, like is a 6 seed too high, too low, just right? Stuff like that. Just tell us. Tyler's active on our Twitter.
I try to be.
Tweet at him. He'll respond. So yeah, that
pretty much sums up the women. Be there again Saturday. It is so much better of a game when the atmosphere is rocking. Even at the women's games, when they're not quite as full as the men games, they can use you all. I promise that
Absolutely.
every person in that Coliseum counts. It makes a huge difference.
All right, men's
basketball, tragic. The one game you needed, you managed to blow away. And
look, I'll be honest. I'm gonna let you take the lead on this one because if we get too far into it, that's all
okay.
I'm saying.
Fair enough.
You're better at dealing with it than I am, so I'll respond.
I was at this game, so I got firsthand all 40 minutes. Where do I even want to start, man? So before, I'm not going to blame this loss on the refs. Okay, I don't like to do that. There are a few exceptions where I do think the refs cost us a game. This is not one of them. I do think we lost the game ourselves, but I also think that the momentum that the refs shifted had a factor. I don't want to ever see Kip Kissinger in the Coliseum ever again. It is, like you said earlier, that it is genuinely getting to the point where there's probably a case to be had against him if WVU were ever to go at him. The amount of the win-loss record normally compared to when Kip Kissinger is reffing a WVU game is actually ridiculous. West Virginia held the lead in this game for basically up until the last few minutes. And then Kip Kissinger does his speciality and just completely blows it out of the water. Now, some calls were warranted. Some calls were controversial. Some calls were not warranted. The one that I thought was the most... I'm trying to think of the words to orchestrate it. The two that I thought were ridiculous was one, the offensive foul called on Javon Small.
Yep, horrible.
That one was one where you can consider it controversial because the guy, BYU's player, is sitting there with his hands up, and Javon Small is basically just trying to move, and BYU's player is not budging. And
well, it's not even that.
It ends up being tangled up.
It's the fact that they were going full court. Like the BYU player and Javon were both shoving each other the whole way down the court. And Javon actually tries to make a play and go around him and use the ball handler as a screen. And he gets called for a shove.
Yeah. So
it's like there's no justification.
Yeah. So even if that one was the, quote unquote controversial offensive foul, it was happening more than that. And it was BYU's player initiating it. It wasn't Javon trying to initiate it. The BYU's player was initiating the contact, getting under Javon's skin, and Javon finally had enough and went at him. And that is when they finally called the call. Call number 2 that I thought was stupid, it actually blew my mind when they called Eduardo Andre for a walk after BYU drove to the basket, walked 4 steps, mind you, he walked on the play, charged. I don't remember who drew the charge. It was either KJ Tanner or Yesufu. I don't remember who was at the time. They drew a charge. They did not call the charge call. The BYU player lost the ball. Eduardo Andre got the ball, tripped over either Yesufu or Tanner. Again, I'd have to go back and check who it was. And they called Eduardo Andre for the walk. It was not the walk was not called on the BYU player who did walk. The charge was not called on the BYU player who did charge. Eduardo Andre got the ball, and they called him for a walk. That was total bullcrap. I mean, absolutely horrendous. And then the third instance I want to bring up was not a foul call, but when Javon Small absolutely murdered his back after trying to take a layup and fell hard to the ground, and the referees would not let the training staff go check on Javon Small. And that one got Darren DeVries fired up, and for good reason. He is literally on the ground, like in distress, holding his back, and they would not let the training staff go check on Javon Small. What reason? I don't know. It's just complete bull. So like you said, you were letting me handle this so that you didn't waffle, and I'm waffling. But referees have got to do better. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, college sports, and bad calls happen. Like, I understand that it's hard to make calls in the game, but when it's to that extent, it is complete bull. I say all that to say this. The refs did not lose us this game. We have got to be better under pressure situations late in close games. We had a lead. I think it was 62-54 at one point or something like that, and they scored 21 points to our 7. I mean, it was terrible. I'm sorry. They scored 19 to our 7. The boneheaded play that gets to me is when Harris tried to pass the ball to Javon Small, did not put nearly enough on it, kind of just dropped it, and then the BYU player got it. And then Sincere Harris was there to make a play defensively for the layup, but he got called for an and one. Yeah. That was the momentum shifter, just a boneheaded play by Harris. And I'll let Matt talk about Harris because I know he said something about it earlier. But as good as an on-ball defender Sincere Harris is, he just makes silly mistakes and silly plays when it comes to offense. I'll let you take that over before we continue.
Well, I just want to say we have a really strong team. We and I didn't get to watch this game. I didn't get to attend, but looking at the shooting percentages and who was playing and how everyone did, it was a pretty even matchup. Shooting percentages were similar. We had 2 more field goals than them. They had 1 more 3-point with only 1 more attempt. The free throw margin more than covers the score differential. And again, I wasn't there. I didn't get to watch. But if they'd made half of the attempts, they'd still have more points on free throws than we had possible to make on free throws. We had 7 attempts, they had 16. I'm not saying the refs threw the game or whatever, but the fact is the fouling differential is the point differential. They had 7 points more off free throws. They won by 4. So there's definitely you have to take into account the fouling in the game. Now, I'm not saying that the calls were bad. I didn't get to watch, but if it's us,
to me, it's crazy.
We're giving them that many shots. We need to stop it because that's the game.
To me, it's crazy because BYU is a 3-point shooting team. How are they getting 9 more free throws than us when BYU is a 3-point shooting team? I know we're a 3-point shooting team too, which again we'll get to because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to this game, but. The free throw differential, and there wasn't really any garbage time free throws. Like, we didn't foul because we were down. There was a couple and 1 free throws, and then there was like 2. There were 2 fouls where they got called for 3-point fouls. They were beyond the 3-point line, so that gives them 6 free throws right there. And that was 2 occasions, I think, that I thought on both occasions were complete bull. I did not see a foul. Now, I see through a golden blue lens, and I have said that to you guys before. I will always be biased and see in WVU's favor, which is why I say that I don't think the refs blew the game. We had opportunities to win it in spite of the refs. That's our fault. But the refs have got to be better.
We've talked about this before. we don't. I think we intentionally don't go for offensive rebounds. You have to get every defensive rebound, and they had 10 offensives, and we only had 20 defensive. So they got a third of the balls that came back down on our side of the court. That's tough. I don't know how many points they got off of that, but that makes a difference too. Especially if it's in a tight game, every single little mistake, those add up and multiply across each other. And it was still like, a 4-point game is a close game.
We weren't making them as bad until the very couple last minutes of the game. It was like, no, we couldn't step up and make a play when it needed to be played.
Yeah, and going back and looking at how the game developed score-wise, we never pulled away. It was like every time you'd get ahead a little bit, something would happen. You would do something, or they would make a good play, and they would always keep it within grasp. And you can't be upset if you lose when you've been losing the whole game in terms of not dominating. Like, if you want to win, you got to go out there and win the whole game. Otherwise, it might be a coin toss at the end, and those don't always go your way. So you really got to get away from people, especially towards the last 2 minutes of the game. It makes a big difference on the game outcome.
Well, remember what I said? It was like I'm pretty sure it was 62-54 us at one point. And I mean, you see the final score. We didn't make it out of 60s. They made it up to 70.
Yeah, it was something like.
I'm pretty sure it was 62-54.
Yeah, I think you're right. We basically didn't score at the end. We got a layup and another layup in the last 3 minutes. That's just.
All right, let me talk a little bit here. So, I agree with everything you guys have said. I agree that the team needed to flat out play better. We were texting each other last night, and I said that myself. The team made some mistakes. Could have played better down the stretch. Take advantage of your lead. Carry out your runs, and make sure that they can't capitalize off of any mistake you make. So that's number one. Number two, this also falls on the student section a little bit. I understand it's a Tuesday night, but you have a really good men's team who is trying their damnedest to put on a good show, and they are, despite the bad losses that we've had. We're ahead of where we thought we were going to be this season by a lot. Come out and support the team. The social media department for the university has been doing a really good job of promoting the games, putting DeVries in front of the camera and having him hype up the crowd. DeVries is doing all he can during the game to hype up the crowd. And I think he was the only reason we were even making any freaking noise last night, especially when BYU would go on a little run themselves and he would try to get our defense back into it. That was the only way we were going to make noise. So
there are some guys there that bring the energy. Like you said, DeVries, Sincere Harris, despite the boneheaded mistakes he made, I mean, he was there defensively locked in. Mm-hmm. He's slapping the ground, trying to get the crowd into it on defense. And at certain points, the crowd was into it. But as soon as BYU got hot there towards the end, they made 3 threes in a row. One of them that was just stupid at the end of the shot clock. Threw it up with one hand and it just somehow went in. I don't remember who it was. But as soon as that happened, the crowd just leaves. The energy just leaves the crowd. And Darren's still there trying to. So, yep. Like you said, the student section's got to be better, man.
I would go so far to say that it's embarrassing. It's like you get a huge block, a great stop, or you make a big run, and it's like the coach has to walk out and wave his arms around like a maniac before people look up from their phones and they're like, "Oh, I forgot I was at a basketball game." And it's not everyone there, obviously. It's a really good atmosphere. I think it was Utah's head coach after the game. He said that West Virginia is just a different place to play in, and he really appreciated wasn't the word he used, but he really enjoyed, I think, the atmosphere. And it needs to be hostile. That is so much better to play in. For anyone watching who's been an athlete before, it makes all the difference in the world when there's energy in the environment around you. And it pains me when I'm at the games and there's people around just not doing anything. It's like they stand and watch the game, and it makes all the difference in the world just to have some energy. So if you can go because it makes a difference. And if you're there, be present, be in the moment. It makes all the difference in the world.
Basketball is a game of runs, and runs don't happen unless the team can feed off of the crowd, right? This is why everybody gives the 2020 Lakers the Mickey Mouse ring, quote unquote, because it was during the bubble. Not all teams played like they normally play because the crowd wasn't behind them. You know what I'm saying? It is so much easier to gain momentum and go on these runs when you have a hostile crowd behind you. Mountaineer Maniacs, if anybody that is watching is in that, speak up and try to give some ideas, because booing the bum of the game and Chick-fil-A at free throws is not enough. I mean, it like Matt said, it's borderline embarrassing that those are the only two chants we can think of during a 40-minute game. Come up with something, okay? Don't be standard, I guess. Don't be normal. Don't be regular.
Now that we've got that out of the way, I'll talk about the refs a little bit.
Oh, gosh.
He hasn't got his turn.
That's fair.
I want to hear it.
I feel like
I do too.
the refs were the biggest factor in this game. Like I said, our players have improving to do. Our crowd needs to show up. Our students need to be there. I agree with Matt. The refs were horrible. The calls that you talked about swung momentum. Not to mention the phantom foul. I say phantom foul because I didn't see anything. I don't know if you guys did or not. But you know it's bad when Craig Edits tweets about it. All right?
That one was a foul. I think I know the one you're talking about. It was a foul. It was a weak foul, but it was a foul.
I don't know. I don't know if they would have called that in a normal game.
We'll pull the tape up after and I'll show you. But that's why I said it was a weak foul. Like it was. Are you talking about the one towards the end on Sincere Harris?
It was right at the end that put the game out of reach.
Yeah,
mathematically.
that put it at 4. Yeah. So in technicality, it was a foul because he hit his arm coming down, but it was like he barely hit his arm coming down, and so it was a soft foul. I see what you're saying.
And yeah, if you're saying in technicality it was a foul, but there's no way the refs didn't know that would put the game away, especially when it was good old Kip Kissinger on the baseline making that call.
Yeah.
Speaking of little Kip.
Little Kip. This is what I mean when I say that there's genuinely a suit to be made, like you said yesterday.
Speaking of little Kip, he's on basketballreference.com. He has repped 4 NBA games. How? How in God's name did Adam Silver let him set foot on that sacred court? I have no idea.
But they needed the views to go up.
Also, interesting thing, this will tie into what I have to say in a second. All 4 of these NBA games, the home team won. Which I did a little background check on little Kip. And I went on 24/7 Sports. And like you were saying, you know it's bad when Kip, a lot of people are talking about there's a genuine case to be made for his vendetta against the university. And he most certainly has one, regardless of evidence that may or may not be there. You can say I'm looking through a gold and blue lens. I don't care. On 24/7 Sports, there is an article written about Kip Kissinger's record against West Virginia. Why would 24/7 Sports, of all people, write an article about West Virginia and Kip Kissinger if there was nothing to be looked at? Because there most certainly is. And also, in the comments of this article, I know that they aren't sportscasters, so you can come with me about my source. I don't care. In the comments of that article, at that time in 2023, when the comments were last made and when the article was written, at that point, we had 12 straight road losses when Kip Kissinger was refereeing. Now, I don't have any updated information. on what our record is now. I'm not sure if he even coached any of our away games last year, but this Kip Kissinger BS has gone on for so long. We used to think it was just about Huggins.
He was a referee when West Virginia last year was whistled for our season high of fouls, and we were called for 27 fouls.
Yeah, well, no surprise there.
He was the referee for that game last year.
Well,
I was trying to find, because like you said, there's a big difference in the record, like our all-time normal record when we're playing versus when Kip Kissinger is refereeing, and it's like a terrible losing record.
mm-hmm.
So there is genuinely some evidence to be had. I don't know if I'm going to look into it because, like I said, you should win in spite of the refs. Refs can play a factor, and I fully believe that. And in a multi-billion-dollar industry, bad refereeing should not be an issue. But if any of y'all are interested in looking up the history between WVU and Kip Kissinger and can find something, feel free to DM me. I'll look into. If you find anything there and have some evidence, I'll look into it, and we'll wholeheartedly bring it up next show because it's an issue. Like you said, it is an issue. It's not just a one-off thing. It's happened for too long.
Also, what I don't get, his ratings can't be good. In general, his ratings can't be good. How the Big 12 keeps letting this bald guy come into our arena and ref our games is unbelievable. How they keep letting it happen, because the amount of controversy that it generates is bad publicity. And any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah.
Not for the Big 12 right now, because football is its main revenue source, and it's kind of getting shafted by the SEC and Big 10 right now. So that argument's a little nulled.
We might have to take this part out.
I like it.
Okay.
So
This is I saw a lot of this viewpoint online, and in fact, I saw posts from before the game when they announced who would be refereeing the game. I saw a bunch of memes, and it was like, Walter White falling to his knees, like
Because there's a genuine history there.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you go back and look, it's just absolutely horrendous.
I tweeted out at halftime because I thought that there were some controversial calls going into halftime.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that West Virginia should have had a way bigger lead than what we did going into halftime, and that the refs played a somewhat of a part in that. And so I tweeted out at halftime, I was like, when was the last time, if ever, you can remember where West Virginia convincingly had the home court whistle? Like, you without a doubt could say that there were bad calls made in favor of West Virginia, and West Virginia won because of it. Somebody responded to me, said that Utah the other day, which I went back and looked, there was a small free throw differential. But then I watched the game again. I mean, not the full game, but I watched part of the game again. And, I mean, there were some questionable calls, but nothing that I would call Kip Kissinger questionable, right? So when was the last time where you can convincingly say that West Virginia won a game because the referees were on their side, they were home cooking whistle, and that's the only reason we won? Because I, off the top of my head, for football and basketball, cannot think of a time where West Virginia convincingly had the whistle on their side.
I don't think it's happened at all.
So you're going to do a deep dive into this.
Well,
That's what I'm hearing.
Somebody made a good point on Twitter. It was, which I don't know how valid this is, especially for basketball, where I don't think conference affiliation has anything to do with officials. It's a weird system in basketball compared to football. But somebody made a point that we're an East Coast school playing in a West Coast conference.
I wouldn't say West Coast.
Well, Midwest, whatever you want to call it. We call the Big Ten a Midwest conference, and it's like kind of East.
It's kind of all spread out too.
We're spending a while on BYU. Main moral of the story is don't make bonehead mistakes. I had one more thing before we move on to bracketology, and that is Javon Small needs to get up more than 4 field goals a game. I don't know what that is. I get that he's being double teamed, but like
He had 9 assists. I'll give him the benefit
he
of the
did
doubt.
find a way to contribute outside of not putting shots up, but if your star player is only taking 4 shots in a game, that's an issue.
Got to find a way to get him open.
That's an issue.
All right,
And it might just be ball movement, but
That's true. One more message before we move on, and this will be it for me, I promise. This is a message to good old Kip Kissinger.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
PG, brother.
And I'm keeping it PG. Don't worry about that. I understand why you turned your Twitter DMs off. All right. I get it. Dude.
He did do that.
All right. I get it. But
Somebody clip this and send it to him.
the next time I want to hear your voice is when you were at a press conference with Flying WVs draped behind you, and you have Tim Donaghy standing right next to you. We all know who Tim Donaghy is, right? I'm guessing we do.
I'm blanking. Remind me.
Search him up real quick.
Tim Donaghy?
Yep. I hope you have Tim Donaghy right next to you, and you are admitting all of the wrongdoings that you have caused Appalachia, okay, for the last 10 years. That's the next time I want to hear your voice. I don't want to hear another whistle blow until that moment. Now, let's move on to bracketology. You're looking at Tim Donaghy.
I'm going to have to do my research because I don't think I've heard the name now that you've I saw him, but
He wrote a book
I don't know
about
everything.
what he did.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Got some research to do.
Yep, there
but
you go.
We're spending too long on BYU and home cooking refs that weren't home cooking.
All right, let's look at bracketology. So,
We got a game that we're probably going to lose, and I hate to be Debbie Downer.
Baylor.
Saturday, we play Baylor, and an issue we have is rebounding, and they have quite literally the leading rebounder in the Big 12. Norchad Omier, he's going to, I think that's how you pronounce it. Sorry if it's not. He's going to cook us on the board, get a bunch of rebounds. I don't see a world where we go into Baylor and get a win. I hope the boys prove me wrong. Even ESPN Matchup Predictor says 80% in Baylor's favor. This is what I was talking about yesterday on Twitter when I said that I do not enjoy our chances. I don't like looking forward and seeing the games that are left to play and then thinking about whether or not we're going to make the bracket. Because I said, I don't think there's a world where we beat Baylor, Tech, or BYU on the road. Those are all 3 tough games. Tech is one of the better teams in the country right now. I definitely don't see a world where we beat them. I don't see a world where we beat Baylor Saturday, and BYU is going to be really tough on the road.
So is there a path to 18 wins?
I'll get there.
All right.
Cincinnati and UCF, both at home, should be wins. That brings us to 17. I said yesterday that leaves the deciding factor to the TCU game at home and the Utah game on the road. Now, ESPN has us in the bracket right now, not on the bubble, right? So that would mean that you likely get in with 18 wins. I say that I think because of our inconsistency and for the world's hatred for West Virginia, for whatever reason, I think we need both of those wins. I think we need to get to 19.
That's fair.
So that means you would have to beat Cincinnati, UCF, TCU, and Utah in assumption that you lose to Baylor, Tech, or BYU. Now, you go into Texas Tech and beat Tech and get 2 wins plus that one, and you get to 18 wins, maybe you get in because you finish the season with a win against Texas Tech. I mean, not finish, but in the last 5, you've got a win against top 15 team. But the schedule worries me because of the 4 away games that are Baylor, Tech, BYU. Those are really hard, and then Utah's not easy. Even with we have a win against Utah at home, but playing away, especially that far, is difficult. So I think we need Cincy and UCF. Those should be the gimme games, quote unquote. If we don't beat one of Baylor, Tech, or BYU, I think you need both TCU and Utah. So that's tough.
I agree. Actually, I do.
He actually agrees, guys.
Actually.
He actually agrees.
I'm with you.
I don't see a path that we could convincingly get into the tournament with 18 wins.
The reason I say that, even regardless of, ESPN, the bracketology on ESPN having us in, is because they still technically have BYU on the bubble and us above BYU. They have us firmly in where they have BYU on the bubble. I don't see that. Even though It's mainly because we have the wins that BYU doesn't, and that's against Arizona, Gonzaga, Iowa State, Kansas. We have those top wins where BYU doesn't really have that. I don't know. It's going to be rough. If you told me that we were making the bracket in year one of Darren and with the wins we had, I'd be happy anyway. So I'm trying not to be too negative, Debbie Downer. Right now, they've got us as a 9 seed in the East Division going up against UConn in the first round. What a first game that would be in the bracket.
UConn, it's the first week in a long time for them that they've been out of the AP.
Are they out of it right now?
They're
Yeah,
out
they
of
are.
it.
Yeah,
They're
they are out of it. Did you see that comeback against Creighton? What a comeback, man. They were.
You were roasting me for this not yesterday, good Lord, like half an hour ago.
What was I roasting you for?
Who's in the top 25?
Yeah, you said who's number 24.
Who's number 24?
No, I said 24 was Creighton because they
Exactly.
played UConn. I forgot that UConn was not. Be quiet.
Dude, that's what we should have said to Kip last night. Bro.
Oh, my
NCAA bracketology's got us 9th, going up against UConn in the first round, as well as in the same division as Duke. Talk about a terrible situation to be in. Let's just hope we make it there. Who we have to face is of the least importance. Get there first.
Bro, I want to be able to have the public schools of West Virginia shutting down classrooms so that they can turn on the game on the projector. Did you guys do that whenever we made the tournament?
I think
when we were
so.
in school?
I remember doing it one time.
Yeah, like our class periods actually, like we would not have class, and they would just turn the lights off and project the game up onto the whiteboard.
I think we did it once. Or we might have just had it playing in the background.
We
but-
had a pizza party in my homeroom one time.
You remember
For
like
the game.
elementary school pizza parties where they would have pizza, but you would get like the tiniest little
They,
sliver,
they'd cut them
and
into
then
like 16 pieces.
a shot glass worth of Pepsi or something.
Dude, we didn't get pop.
You got Capri Sun.
We didn't get
They had
pop.
shot glasses in kindergarten.
Dude,
No, I'm just saying amount wise. Come
we
on
got
now.
milk. We got milk.
Milk and pizza.
Literally in elementary school.
That's
now,
an elite combo. Don't
now-
hate.
now that we're on
Don't
the-
hate.
now that we're on the subject, in elementary school, right, we had popcorn Fridays every
Yeah.
day.
Oh, we had those.
We had those.
Where you could buy cheesy popcorn or just regular popcorn. You could buy either or.
Oh, we had all the seasonings.
And like garlic parm.
Yeah, we would. They would
like-
have popcorn. You'd be like, "Hey, you can have popcorn for $1. Do you want any seasonings?" And they
Ours,
would have like a
ours was
bucket of
50
seasonings.
cents popcorn. 50
my-
cents
my-
for popcorn.
Mine was 50 cents for the butter popcorn and then $1 for the cheese popcorn.
They made you pay extra.
Oh, they did, and then it also
Spicy.
cost $1 for chocolate milk.
So $2 for a meal
That's
of
highway robbery.
cheesy popcorn
Yeah,
and
and
chocolate
I would
milk.
always buy a bag to bring back to my mom. So it was
There you go.
$3.
$3 of popcorn and chocolate
Yeah.
milk.
It was crazy, but that's what we need. WVU Athletics make it a goal to shut down these classrooms and let them watch you play.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say to sell popcorn.
No, we should have
And
like
sell
a
popcorn,
dollar
dude.
popcorn day. Would be crazy.
Dude, Coal Country fundraiser outside the Mountain Lair next week. Let's do it.
Sell popcorn. We're gonna sell popcorn. Do we have
That'd be
popcorn
crazy.
maker? We gotta get one first.
We could get one. Get one of those big carts with the wagon wheel.
We're
on it.
yapping. We need to move on. We're
Have
yapping.
a sign like "Meet the Crew."
I'd love it.
Oh, okay. West Virginia, lock in. We don't have pick'ems, so we'll go just quick picks for Baylor. Ian,
Baylor wins.
I've got Baylor.
I know who you're going to pick. You might as well just
Don't
spit it
make
out,
me
man.
do it.
He
Don't
likes
make-
the Mountaineers.
I like the
brother.
Mountaineers.
There it is.
I like a big upset here.
We need
Fair
it.
enough.
We need it bad.
Is that the only game we're picking?
Yeah, because it's the only.
All right.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's another game next week that they'll see beforehand.
Go back
but
to the bracket again. You look at the last 4 out. Who's at the top?
Pittsburgh. No, last 4 in.
Last 4 out.
First
Pittsburgh.
4 out or last 4 out?
Next 4 out. Next 4 out.
Well, it wouldn't be the last out because the last out would be like the worst teams in the country.
Well, Pitt sucks.
It would be the first
Anyway.
teams out.
We can use this to segue into the Super Bowl. But-
Okay, yeah.
Because these Pitt fans, dude, I swear on
Kenny
social media,
Pickett did nothing, and you act like he Tom Brady'd the thing.
he threw an incomplete pass and got -4 yards. I don't know what y'all are chirping about, but he did jack. All right, so
Thank you, Philadelphia Eagles, though, for saving America.
Jalen Hurts is America's new sexiest man alive.
Cooper DeJean is an American hero.
A pick on his birthday.
birthday.
In the Super Bowl, a pick 6 on his
He
birthday.
is not a safety.
Dude, he had a good night.
He did. He had an incredible night. The Eagles had a great night, and Patrick Mahomes.
Had like the worst game of his entire career.
Yes,
Except
especially
for when
the
he
first
threw like
half.
in the second half, whenever it didn't matter anymore, he threw for like 140 yards.
It was
or
200
something.
plus because he finished with like 280 or something.
Yeah,
He
it was
literally had
stupid.
like 40 or 50 yards in the first half.
They probably could have won if he just went to Xavier Worthy and was like, just run that way and I'll throw it that direction.
Exactly.
He's the fastest in the league. That's
mean,
what you should do
like,
every play.
Here was my betting strategy, America, right? So I wanted the Eagles to win this game, as did the rest of the world, except Kansas City punks.
Bandwagon.
And I'm like, okay, so if I want the Eagles to win and I bet on them, they're gonna get blown out. So I'm gonna bet on the Chiefs, right? And it worked. I had like $30 on different Chiefs picks and parlays and whatnot, and the Eagles won. So I won.
I called it, by the way. Everybody else said Chiefs were winning. I called Eagles winning.
Yeah.
I don't think I picked.
I thought it would be close, but
I had Chiefs winning.
I didn't see what we saw. And not in a million worlds did I think it would be Eagles 40-6, because that's what the true score was.
It was a great reminder to see what Pat Mahomes used to look like in Morgantown. Those were great days.
It was beautiful. Beautiful sight. What
What's
about
he,
that?
0-2?
Huh?
In Morgantown. Well, not 0-2 against us. I think he only played here once.
I get you.
But I mean, you could go look, but he only played us twice. I know that. Travis Kelce as well.
Yeah, he had a horrible
What
game.
was he doing out there, dude? And also, he left in pajamas.
Yeah, he was standing
did.
around. He was standing around on the field doing nothing or crying on the sideline.
Dude, he looked
No
like
hate.
I saw a meme.
he looked like Seal at the end of a concert.
I saw a meme of him and him crying to the referees, and it was like, "What the heck? I was supposed to propose after the game."
It's so bad. We're talking about Super Bowl too. We talked about the commercials and the Baja Blast commercial with Seal as a seal.
Yeah.
Wait, was that the Instacart one?
No, that was a Baja Blast specific
the Mountain Dew.
commercial.
Dude,
It
the
wa-
Instacart was funny.
it was Seal singing on a rock with his face
No, I remember
on
that.
a seal.
I do remember that. What about halftime show? Thoughts?
I like the halftime show. A lot of people around here don't, because they don't listen to rap, and I'm not going to judge your taste in music because I get why people don't like rap, but I personally enjoyed the show. Loved the Drake diss, which we were all waiting for, and I love the way that he teased it throughout the entire show.
Yeah, I thought that was.
That was funny. You don't listen to rap, so what was your thoughts on?
I didn't dislike it. I get the artistry of it. It's just not my stuff to listen to. I thought it was good though.
That's fair.
We're off
At
the
least
show.
you're not like every 40-year-old on Facebook, like, fire the promoter who's in charge of getting this stupid boy in here. Like,
That's about how I am. It's like we're all three musicians, so we have, we understand the art behind it.
right.
Kendrick is an incredible lyricist, and the amount of meaning and purpose he puts behind everything he does is there, and I think we can all respect that. But it just seemed like 40 minutes of America is racist, Trump is bad, and Drake is a PDF file.
Wait, was halftime 40 minutes? That's what
What
I
did
got.
I say?
You said
said 40.
you said it was
15 minutes.
40 minutes.
15 minutes.
You were
My
watching
fault.
the slow mo.
Yeah, I was. My fault. It felt like 15 minutes of Kendrick up there just saying America's racist, Trump is bad, and Drake is a PDF file.
Well, Drake is, but that's the thing. I get where you're coming from.
Drake,
but
if you didn't lose when Not Like Us was released, you lost now. It's
that's
over.
it's done. That's why the game over flashed at the very end of the show. And if you're a promoter, you know what you're getting with an artist like that, and you knew he was going to send that message. So it is what it is, regardless of your beliefs. So, but I like the show.
It wasn't bad. It definitely wasn't as bad as some people make it out to.
And also, if you don't like rap, give it 15 minutes of your time. And Kendrick is the perfect person for this. Go on rapgenius.com and just look at some of his lyrics, and it will describe for you the what am I trying to say here? All the definitions of what he's trying to say, all the meanings behind
Go
all
listen
of it.
to Good Kid, Mad City and To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick's album, and you'll understand the lyricism that goes behind his work.
Yeah.
Very
So,
good. Very good.
That's
albums.
that's where that goes. Speaking of football, now that we segued off of that and how much Pitt sucks, we're going to talk about
We got a baseball game Friday, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah, baseball. So it's Jacksonville, right? Is our season opener?
Yes.
You pull it up?
Yes. I think I lost it, but it is Jacksonville Friday. I don't remember what time. at Jacksonville.
6 p.m. I'm seeing.
Excited to see the boys back out on the turf and the dirt and the field.
It's good. It's gonna be good. We need to go to some games this year.
Yeah.
I know we said that last year. Whenever we knew it was gonna be JJ's last year, but
Didn't get to go to none, but we're gonna go this year. We promise.
we are gonna go.
Friday also happens to be Valentine's Day.
I
So,
love you guys.
If anyone needs a date, I'm available.
Hit them up, ladies.
I was talking to you guys, but that works too.
But Max isn't here. We get Danelle on the line,
Oh man.
The no.
which we still need to make a short for her.
We do. We need to make some shorts in general.
We'll make some shorts.
I agree. All
Get
right.
to it, Matt. Come on now.
Now that we've talked about baseball, which I forgot to throw in there. Good luck, boys, down in Florida.
Yes.
Pat White news. Break it to us.
Pat White is back in Morgantown, and not just for a visit, ladies and gentlemen. He is your new West Virginia assistant quarterbacks coach and assistant to the head coach.
We were debating a little bit on what's the difference between assistant coach and assistant to the coach. If you ever watch The Office, you know what we're talking about.
They made fun of me, ladies and gentlemen, because I was like, bro, our assistant coach is Pat White. And they were like, no, assistant to
It's
the head
assistant
coach.
to the coach.
What's the difference? No, but Pat White, he's back in town, back a part of the staff. I'll be honest, Nico or Jalen Henderson, whoever it ends up being, under Pat White's leadership is going to be incredible.
I agree 100%. And all I'm saying, Rich Rod, I fully believe in you. I'm going to be so upset if I see Pat White slinging water bottles on the sideline this season. He better not be doing that.
I think it's a good hire. I think we're all glad to see him back in town. There's a
Definitely.
nostalgia aspect to what Rich Rod has been doing recently. Obviously, Rich Rod himself being back in Morgantown and then hiring a bunch of West Virginia legends. It brings some nostalgia to it. It gives us hope going into 2025. August could not get here soon enough.
I agree. And now that Rich Rod went and did it, we need a picture of Pat White outside of Wings Olay.
Yeah. Hey, Pat White, we'll get you on the pod. Come on.
Dude, he loves to talk to people.
We will
I would love to
pay,
talk to him.
not that you need it, but we will pay for your trips to Wings Olay if you come on the pod.
Dude, we need to tag him now. We need to make another short for
Yeah,
Pat White.
come on.
We got it. We got it.
We got it. Football. We're sticking with football.
Yeah.
So we have made a way too early college football top 25 list.
We haven't
Correct.
made it. We're going to make one.
We are going to make
We're
one.
going to talk about it.
So are we going to start from the top or are we
And-
going to start from the bottom?
And now we here.
What did you say earlier about him?
Started from the bottom. Now we up. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna make that a short, just that clip by itself, those 2 seconds, and just upload.
And we need to screenshot like our first video that got, like 100 and some views. And then we need to post it 5 years from now where we're getting like 6 million.
Yeah,
Yeah. Who are you, Josh Pate? Never heard of you.
I don't know who that is.
Dude, we'll
I'm just kidding.
we'll get him on the pod too.
All right, 25, top 25. Who is number one? I think we might all have differing opinions.
My opinion, if we want to go around in this order, it doesn't matter to me, but my number one team is the Texas Longhorns.
Ooh,
That's who I was going to say.
man, that's what I was gonna say.
Are you lying?
No,
Oh, okay. Texas.
that's what I thought. That's what I thought it was this year too.
I don't mean to, poo on Ohio State's parade after just winning a natty, but I think Texas should be there for the simple fact that they have Arch. Like
agree.
all the other schools that were at the top this year, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Oregon, Georgia, they're all losing their starting quarterback. And Texas is too, but if you look at all the starting quarterbacks, Arch has the most promise by far. So I like that we're putting Texas there. Who we
Great.
got number 2?
Number 2, it gets to be choppy whenever
I've
it
got
gets to
I have ESPN's 2, and they have Texas number 2, and they have Ohio State number 1.
I was honestly going to say Ohio State 2.
I like Notre Dame 2 because Notre Dame's bringing back Jeremiah Love, right? Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Notre Dame or Ohio State is who I think, or Penn State.
I was thinking Ohio State, maybe.
We'll go 2-1 Ohio
And 2
State.
to 1 Ohio State up there. My number 3.
To me, it's Penn State or Notre Dame.
Yeah, I was going to say Penn State.
Penn State. But I think they should be back-to-back in either order. I'll say Penn State because they bring back Drew Aller.
I don't know. They just never – I felt like they lucked into how well they did this year. Not that they were a bad team by any stretch, but I just don't think –
They have the best spot in the college football playoff bracket.
They are the
I'll say that.
definition of win the games you should and never the games you shouldn't. They always win every game they're favored in.
I don't know how you could put them in the top 5.
That's a crazy statement. I'll be honest.
I don't know who else I'd put up there, but it just doesn't feel right.
You could argue
That's
Notre
my
Dame, but
statement.
I think Penn State is right there. And me and Ian both said it. So
Nick
you
Singleton is a
lose.
force to be reckoned with as well, and I had Notre Dame
Yeah.
number 4 since you just moved
I
up
think
there.
Notre Dame's 4. I think that's a clear 4. Any thoughts?
I like Notre Dame 4.
I don't dislike it.
5 is where it gets a little.
So ESPN, I'm looking at ESPN's as we're going just to make sure I'm not missing any information on key players lost and coming in. They have Georgia. They have the top 4 we do in a different order. Actually, same order. We just swapped Texas and Ohio State. They have Georgia 5 and Oregon 6. I almost think it should be flipped.
I was going to say the same thing.
Because the biggest aspect of Georgia this year was their defense and their running game, but they lose Trevor Etienne. And I don't know.
I think Trevor
really
Etienne's
don't know.
a big piece.
And Oregon,
And it's the fact that Oregon has unlimited NIL.
a big difference here is that Oregon does have Dante Moore, who is a highly regarded recruit coming in as quarterback, but Georgia has Gunnar Stockton, who now has not only experience but playoff experience. So I think Georgia and Oregon could be flip-flopped.
I have Oregon then Georgia. Those are my.
Matt, how?
I do too, and I'd put them where you put Penn State.
You would have Georgian 3rd.
Yeah.
Georgia 3rd.
Georgian.
I put the Georgians up there.
All right, we'll go. I think that's crazy.
It's way too early.
That's
see how it
true.
plays
It is
out.
way too early. I would have. I like what we've got going. Oregon 5, Georgia 6. Now it can get a little interesting. We'll go refer to ESPN just to make sure they have Clemson and LSU at 7 and 8. I think that's.
LSU's high.
I think LSU's high, and I think that's a little high for Clemson as well.
Clemson's high, but I heard they were.
I was thinking
gonna
South
go
Carolina, possibly Miami. South Carolina, Clemson. I'm sorry. Yeah, South Carolina, Clemson, Miami, Ole Miss, and who else was I thinking? Florida are teams that I think need to be in the conversation right
Okay.
there. Florida's a little high for 10.
I have a
Top
question.
10.
Without referring to the ESPN list, where would you guys have Texas Tech? Because their recruiting list has been ranked
True.
off the charts.
I don't know if they would be between 20 and 25. I wouldn't have them any higher than that, if any at all, because we haven't.
They're unproven. Is
Yeah,
that
basically.
the reason?
Because in 2023, they had the same thing where it was like 2023, Texas Tech was supposed to be dark horse contenders, and then they didn't do much. So then they didn't have many expectations coming to 24, go 8-4. They won their bowl game, correct? I don't remember who they played.
I think Tech won. I have a prediction here. My prediction of who is the next Oklahoma State, right? They have huge expectations. They're going to go 3-9.
So you don't think Tech will do very well this year?
No. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to give my prediction to
sorry.
a team that's not Tech.
Okay.
I predict that team this year will be maybe here. Go back to the thing because I need to look at them.
Yeah.
Maybe Iowa State.
You don't think they'll do very well this year?
I mean, I don't say they're going 3-9.
High expectations, low results.
I think last year was. I think they were punching above their weight than what people thought.
Potentially.
So,
I don't know. I think that I don't know if I
This
would
is
say
where
that
it gets
for them.
choppy, like I was saying a little earlier.
Yeah, it makes you wonder where they'll land because I mean that was obviously to have a year like that's pretty pretty good. So
They
Ole
have
Miss at 25.
well, they lose a lot. To be fair,
They lose Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart, Trey Harris are basically their entire offense, and they lose both of them.
Sorry, AJ Brown will come back.
Ole Miss, I don't. Yeah, I agree. I think is probably lower than what I'm gonna say that they probably should be.
Yeah.
I think South Carolina needs some respect and to be put at 7-ish, up there with Clemson and LSU. And
I
think
was
LSU's
thinking
too high.
either Clemson or Florida.
You think Florida above South Carolina?
I think Florida is going to be for real in the SEC this year.
I do too,
And
but I don't think they should be that high.
I don't. Is it because of their recruiting?
No, I think they should be. It's because they weren't even ranked to finish the season.
Right.
I think Florida should be like.
But Florida has the hardest schedule in college football.
That's true. They have a hard one again too. I think they should be max 10 to 15 and probably around 16 to 20.
Man.
I like South Carolina.
Well,
Lenora Sellers going to cook this year.
I'm good with putting South Carolina.
The reason I
Clemson
say
up
South
there.
Carolina is because one, South Carolina lost or beat to Clemson. They were some questionable calls against LSU away from beating LSU. That's why I'm not putting LSU above them, even if they return Garrett Nussmeier. I like South Carolina, and they were in overtime. They were in overtime with Alabama on the road. I like South Carolina, but
Okay.
again, it's up to y'all.
where do you put Alabama in here?
We'll get there.
So they're out of the top 10?
No,
Because we're looking at the top 10 right now.
I don't think they should be. Do you want me to say my top 10? It would probably be.
Well, so we have 8 right now. Who do you think number 9 is?
Well, I wasn't definitively putting Clemson there. I think Miami and SMU need to be in the top 10.
SMU.
Yeah, they return Jennings, their quarterback,
I like SMU up there.
and they had a really good year this year despite a loss.
And we thought last year their ACC bid was going to be awful. After the first game.
I don't know why LSU's so high. I mean, I know that they have a pretty good portal class, I'm sure.
I put LSU in the 20s.
I don't know if I'd drop them that low. But like I said, I don't know why they're 8th on ESPN's way too early.
All right, so let me see. You got Georgia, South Carolina, Clemson, Miami, SMU.
Actually, no, I'll keep it.
I don't mind it. It's just, man, Florida's good. I am a believer in the Gators. So
Plus, we still haven't put a Big 12 team in. Where do we think? I think Arizona State needs to fall a little bit. BYU probably raise a little bit because BYU.
I think BYU should be the Big 12 favorite.
I agree.
So
I think they have Iowa. No, they have BYU.
if we're gonna leave it the way it is with
Yeah.
your top 10, which I'm okay with overall, I think it should be Florida, BYU, Arizona State, and then I need to think about it after that.
Florida, BYU,
Where are
Arizona
you at,
State,
Matt?
and
I know
11,
you're-
12.
you're
I think
looking
I'd
here.
put K-State after BYU.
Over Arizona State.
Do you have them on there, who they're losing and gaining?
Who, Arizona State?
And
Them
K-State.
and K-State.
So Arizona State is losing Cam Scadaboo. That's the big one.
Mhm.
That's really the biggest loss, and nobody else comes. I mean, they're losing a few other, but that's the biggest one. They keep Sam Levitt
which is
and
big.
Jordan Tyson.
Yeah.
Those are the two big keeps, and they don't lose a ton defensively either. So like Arizona State, it's going to be about can they find offense outside of Cam Scadaboo. I think they can. It's just a matter of I don't know. Kansas State does return a lot too. They keep Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, Jace Brown. They lose Giddens and Keegan Johnson, receiver and running back. Not talking
Those are
about
big losses too.
Yeah, I'm not talking a whole lot about defense, but you know,
Yeah.
I don't think Kansas State should be above Arizona State.
No, I think you're right.
Get Ole Miss out of there for right now.
Drop them a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. This is getting tough. Because it's like you said, it's way too early. We're gonna have different opinions.
It gets choppy for sure.
Yeah.
Where,
Do
who
we
would
need
I
to put LSU in? I think LSU.
I think
falls right
LSU
here.
after Arizona State. I was about to say that because I forgot LSU was on the list.
Should we? No, I'm putting.
I'm putting
I was
LSU
gonna
there.
say. So Alabama.
Who would be 15?
Oh my God, where's Tennessee, bro? Tennessee.
That's why we're making the list.
Yeah, I totally forgot Tennessee existed, which
Apparently ESPN.
ESPN too. Dude, where do they have Tennessee? 19.
19. Who are they losing?
James Pierce Jr., who's big. Dylan Sampson, running back. That's a pretty decent loss. They lose 3 receivers. I don't know. I think Tennessee needs to be a little higher. I would put them above LSU.
Yeah.
I don't know. LSU keeps more around Garrett than Tennessee does around Nico.
And I like Alabama after Tennessee, too.
I as well.
Iowa State, I like there, too.
I like Iowa State and Kansas State back to back, I think.
16, 17, 18. We have those. Those.
16, 17, 18. Dropping them a little bit. I am going to have a hot take and say that Michigan needs to be ranked in the low 20s before as the year starts.
Okay.
Michigan brings in the number 1 recruit in the country in Bryce Underwood. I think he might just be the number 1
So you
quarterback
have him
recruit.
20?
But no, I wouldn't have him 20. I'm just saying they need to be ranked 20 to 25 somewhere.
Okay, so we have 16, 17, 18. Missouri's there. I think Missouri should drop a little bit.
How about Kansas?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm not saying right there, but where do we think they're at? Because they were
I
on
don't
the
think they're
upswing.
ranked.
You don't think they're ranked
Not
top 25
to
at
start
all?
the year.
No.
I don't think to start the year.
Dude, are we over inflating Miami's? I feel we are so different from ESPN.
Because we're losing
Well,
Campbell.
ESPN kind of sucks.
That's true.
At a lot of
I mean,
stuff.
they're going to have A&M ranked, and I don't think A&M is going to do that good.
They're fraud
Okay
university.
season.
Who do
They
we
had a
have?
typical A&M
I
season.
put a bunch of teams in here that could be potential honorable mentions. Who can we drop out? We can drop out Colorado. Colorado's not going to be as good.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We can drop out Auburn. I don't want to put any of the Group of 5 teams in there because you don't know how. Kansas, no.
Syracuse, no.
no. Oklahoma.
Not
No.
after last year.
Yeah, but they get
Not after they're losing their defensive coordinator.
they get a quarterback that I cannot think of his name. Anyway, we'll say no. UNLV, no. Baylor,
Nah.
no. TCU, no. Memphis, no. So these
Illinois?
I don't think I'm going to say no to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, Georgia Tech won't be in there.
So we've got 7 spots left, and I'm going to say no to USC as well. Well, no to USC as well.
Fair.
So we've got 7 spots left and 8 teams. Indiana, Ole Miss, Missouri, Michigan, Illinois, Louisville, Texas Tech, and Texas A&M. Do we want to say drop Texas Tech out because of the uncertainty, or should we put them above A&M?
I put them above A&M.
I'm with you.
I think I would disagree because I think we saw Marcel Reed, what he could do earlier this season.
Well, didn't you just say Tech isn't going to do that good?
A&M?
Or A&M
Well,
is going to do that
think.
good?
I think Texas Tech is gonna be way overhyped as well. I'm just saying we saw that A&M was at least able to hang in there with some big name teams.
SEC.
Yeah,
It's happening all over again. The bias is
like
here.
Indiana. I think Indiana's gonna have a major fall off, but they're gonna
Yeah,
be
I
ranked
agree,
in the top
but
25
yeah.
to start.
They will.
So it's like who? How long we been going?
I don't know.
about an hour.
Check it
I don't know.
out.
Really?
Dude, we need to
Hour
go.
We're
10.
chilling. We still got 20 minutes, bro.
Yeah, we're chilling.
Minimum.
America, we're going to go ball after this, and
I'm gonna cook Tyler again.
we're shooting like 80%.
Never happens, bro. Never happens.
All right, so
I have shoes this time. Remember that.
they weren't playing in Burks like they were after the Super Bowl.
The slides.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think I would almost put Michigan at 19 or 20.
Man,
Who do they have right there? So they've got Michigan 21. They have Louisville above Michigan, Indiana above Michigan.
I think Louisville will be solid, and I think Indiana has to be
they
ranked.
have Illinois really high.
But Illinois had a pretty
But they
good season.
they had a good season, and they do return a lot. They
It's all
return
Hudson Clement.
Luke Altmaier.
No one said that. No one's gonna say that.
Dude,
He's actually the one guy that they have 2 people listed as key people coming in, and Hudson is one.
well, he's going to.
We'll see.
We'll see. You
I
know
look
what?
forward to
I
it.
think we should give Illinois some respect.
They had a really good.
I'll
season.
put 'em-
You're kinder than I am,
I'll put them at 19.
traitor. All right.
I'm not a traitor. I'm just saying.
Not you. I'm not calling you a traitor.
Hudson.
I am.
Bag chasing, bro. No, I don't want to get in trouble. I'm sorry.
Free speech. All right.
Indiana, what do we think about them?
I think they have to be ranked.
Yeah, but I think
Well,
they
I do
fall
too.
off.
I don't think they should be ranked as high. Like ESPN, they've got them where?
They have them like 17 or something,
17,
don't they?
maybe? Yeah, 17.
17.
Think they need to be lower.
I think
do
they need to
even
be
have
21.
Missouri?
I have Indiana 21.
They don't have
They don't even have
Missouri.
Missouri
I would take
ranked
Missouri
too.
off.
You think Missouri needs to be the team that we drop out?
Yeah,
Even over Tech?
that's my pick
That's
to
right.
be out.
Now let's put Tech at 25 because they're unproven.
Okay, we'll put
If
Tech.
we can agree on that, and then A&M and Louisville.
I think Louisville should be above. They bring in Miller Moss, and they had a decent team last year. I cannot remember who, for the life of me, who else they have. I think Louisville's going to be all right this year. Chris Bell, Isaac Brown are coming back. They lose their quarterback Tyler Show, but like I said, Miller Moss is coming in. I think he'll end up being a better quarterback than Tyler Show was anyway. Excuse me. I like Louisville above. Oh, man, do I like them above Indiana?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do on paper, but Indiana is going to be ranked above
I almost
them.
think Indiana is better on paper. I'm going to give Indiana their flowers because they were able to hang in there with Notre Dame. We'll give them Indiana their flowers.
Okay,
So should we even put them above Michigan?
I would. And if we're going to go by that logic,
Illinois.
no.
So Illinois, Indiana. Didn't they beat them this past year, though? I swear they did. Maybe I'm tripping. Anyway, so then Michigan below or above Louisville?
I have them below,
Below Louisville?
I think so too.
Michigan below or above Ole Miss?
above.
Yeah,
Ole Miss above or below Michigan?
Brother,
Yeah, but do you okay, Ole Miss above or below A&M?
above. I'd have.
do we
them
really think Ole Miss drops that far?
I think they do.
I mean, I think they do.
They-
Dude, their
lo-
entire
they
offense
lost
was
their whole
Jackson
offense.
Dart and Trey Harris.
Yeah,
that
but-
was their offense.
Yeah.
That's just a big drop.
But to be fair, Oregon's offense was what?
What were you going to say?
I was gonna say Tez Bryant, but why does that sound wrong?
I'm not good with names. So
Gotta go double check yourself.
Johnson.
Tez Johnson. Who's Tez Bryant? That's a name, bro.
An NFL player. I know Tez Bryant. is
Yeah,
NFL.
you're right.
I just forget where he came from. Thank you, Google. Oh, good lord.
I'm sorry, Pod.
I'm going to retype. This is where you need to put in the...
Dez Bryant. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of.
This is where you need to put in like the 20 minutes later
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
Tez Johnson.
I'm just gonna cut this out.
So we're kind of giving Oregon a free pass too, but
They have that
are we
money.
happy with this?
Yeah. Oregon has that money.
Or are we showing
So,
SEC bias?
Where's
we do
Vandy?
have 5 Big 12 teams in.
we ain't showing SEC
I'm not
bias.
putting Vandy in here.
No.
You're a hater.
I am a hater.
Dude, the Commodores are not
Diego Pavia.
Where's FSU?
No.
the criminals.
However, I would like to say I do think FSU is a dark horse in the ACC this year. I like Thomas Castellanos, and despite them having a terrible year, Mike Norvell's still a really good head coach, and they have the branding to bring in high-level recruits. I mean, they are Florida State. So I think Florida State is going to surprise some people.
Dark Horse, West Virginia.
Bring them home, baby.
We're going 8-4.
We're going
That's our floor.
12 and
Hey.
0. We like this.
I don't know. I think we need to shift everybody down a spot, and the East Carolina Purple Pirates have to take number one.
Okay, so do we want to take Tech out and put our here? Well, okay, so this is a top 25. Right now, we're all gonna pick our group of 5 team to win the spot next year, quote unquote.
When the like
playoff
in the
spot.
playoff.
Who's gonna be the best group of 5 team next year? Is what I'm saying.
Okay, let me look here. I'll make mine first.
Oh, yeah.
I'm between Memphis and Boise again, but
So-
they're losing Genty.
Boise loses Genty and Memphis loses.
UNLV's up there too.
Who does? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. There's a lot of names in football that I can't
Now,
remember.
you need to put this graphic in now.
Seth Hennigan. Memphis loses Seth Hennigan. And he was a lot of their offense. Not all of it, obviously, but Memphis does lose a lot of that.
You're going to pick the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors?
I'm going to pick, sue me, UConn Huskies. Wait, is it even possible for UConn to make it?
Yeah.
UConn's independent.
Notre Dame's independent.
Yeah, but Notre Dame has...
They have a name.
So, like, Notre Dame is always going to make it as an at-large, right? Is there any chance that UConn would ever make it as an at-large?
And if they go like 11-1.
I don't think they would make it even if they went 11-1. Because their schedule is cake, bro.
Probably depends on who they play.
More research.
Yeah. Don't you love just watching us do research, guys? They do play at Syracuse, so that could be like a tell game. They play at Boston College as well. That could be a tell game, and Duke.
That's still a really easy schedule.
I like UConn and where the trajectory that they have been on, which is funny because UConn is like a notoriously horrible football program. Like they put everything they have into basketball and nothing into football. But they went 9-4 this year. I just got a feeling that UConn is going to rally to the ball and just lock in 2025 and have a good season. But I don't think they're the playoff spot because it's going to be way. I don't think a team that is an independent is going to make it as a group of 5 team.
Matt, you better say South Alabama.
No, I think it'd be Memphis.
What do we think about Charles Huff
group.
and Southern Miss taking the entirety of the Sun Belt champions in Marshall to Southern Miss?
Yeah, that's quite the move.
Man, I don't care what y'all Thundering Herd fans say. You ain't ruling the state. All right?
That's why we don't even have to talk about it because they're just little brother.
We are never going to play you. I will say that right now. We are not going to schedule you.
Little brother mentality.
I would like a game.
I
Then
think
we
we
could
should
stop
play.
talking about
I
it.
think we should play them every year just to have fun.
We have nothing but to lose money from that opportunity.
They should pay us for the publicity.
They will.
I'll tell you my pick right after I have concluded my research.
All right, so this will take 3 hours.
Yeah, for real.
Who's that? Ty Thompson for Tulane.
Tulane is who I'm picking as my.
Okay. I like that pick.
Okay, good, because I do too.
And you have Memphis.
Tulane should be in the SEC, by the
And
way.
I have Memphis. Dude, Georgia Tech should have stayed in the SEC, and we should have got the SEC bid in, was it 2011, 2012?
Guys, when are we going to do our Saving College Football episode?
Over the summer.
Did you see Josh Pate? How much time? We still got time, right?
No.
Till we're about an hour 30?
Yeah, we got time.
I just want to ask how y'all feel about this, because Josh Pate did a video the other day that I
Who's
thought
that?
was quite interesting.
People are complaining that we haven't showed up to play basketball yet.
That's crazy.
Be quiet, Juju. I know you're watching.
You better leave a comment on this video.
Just so you guys know, we're talking about Juju Watkins, so we have contacts.
Oh, goodness. I'm not going to be able to pull it up, bro.
Bro. Bro.
I'm clipping that. Put that on the soundboard.
You clipping everything. Guys, we're not even. We're
I
just
swear, this would be
rambling.
fantastic on like Spotify with no context.
Okay. I'm going to go one by one, and we're just going to talk about it really, 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 really fast.
Okay.
SEC, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee. These are Josh Pate's perfect conferences.
West Virginia.
Vandy should be here.
There's no reason Vandy should be removed.
Yeah, if Tennessee's in there, Vandy should be in there.
You mean, no, Tennessee, I think there's no reason they shouldn't be in if South Carolina's in. They should replace South Carolina, and South Carolina needs to go back to the ACC.
Well, no, I'm saying that if Tennessee is in the SEC,
Okay.
then Vandy should be too.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think that they should
Well, that's in
replace
the
South
South.
Carolina.
That's my answer.
Big Ten, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Minnesota, Ohio State, Penn State, Purdue, Wisconsin.
I don't see a problem.
That's so much better than it is right now.
No Northwestern, though. And I'm pretty sure he makes Northwestern
That was the one team I was thinking.
That's a good point.
What does he make Northwestern?
independent, as well as Vandy, I
Would
believe.
they be able to make any money as an independent?
Well, that's what I said. That's was
to
something
win
I
a
saw
lot,
a lot
right?
is if you go like a team like that, if they go independent, eventually probably just either join a smaller conference, like a Group of 5 conference, and if they didn't, they would honestly end up dropping football out of their college, like athletics. So I don't think Northwestern doesn't survive outside of this.
I have no problem with
I would
that.
put Northwestern in place of Penn State and move Penn State to an Eastern Alliance conference.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll go more in depth. another time.
I'm gonna give a live update. TCU beat Oklahoma State on an improbable Hail Mary inbounds play.
Nice.
So
Southwest Conference he brings back. That would be wonderful. Arkansas, Baylor, Houston, Oklahoma, Rice, SMU, Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, TCU. I've already seen this video, so I know where he puts everybody. Separating Oklahoma and Oklahoma State for just so Oklahoma and Texas share the same conference is a no-no. Texas and Oklahoma used to be non-conference every year, so I think it should still be non-conference if you're going to have this alignment. Like if you're going to go back to a Power 7 and have Southwest and Big 8, Oklahoma needs to be in the Big 8.
You have 8 Texas teams in there. It is crazy. And
Correct. No, it would be
right.
Yeah.
You have
8 Texas teams.
SMU and Rice.
I think that's great because it's regional. I feel like that just helps bring people
Travel.
to the sport. But
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Rivalries.
There's so many teams.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, look at this entire schedule for Texas would be just a schedule of every game as a rivalry game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think it is awesome.
If I was in
NCAA.
any of those Texas
But like
schools, I would love that.
Texas would pummel Rice every year.
Take notes, SEC.
Yeah, I don't know if I put Rice in.
I'm sorry,
with the big
NCAA.
boys.
Not
This
JT
is,
Daniels.
this is his Big 8. Colorado, Iowa State, Kansas State, Missouri, Nebraska, Oklahoma State, Utah. So it's literally the old Big 8, but
I like it.
with Utah instead of Oklahoma.
Yep.
Here's what I would do, because he puts BYU as an independent like they used to be. I would no longer call it the Big 8. I would call it like the Heartland or Central Conference or something like that, and add Oklahoma here, and then also have Utah and BYU. That's a perfect 10. Clemson, Duke, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Maryland, Miami, NC State, North Carolina, Virginia, Wake Forest. That's pretty much perfect. Any thoughts? I like it.
We got to ask the audience what they think, guys.
Yeah, leave your thoughts down below. Pac-10 is literally the old Pac-10. Arizona State, Cal, Oregon State, Stanford, USC, UCLA, Washington State. That's the old
Wazoo.
Pac-10. There's literally, that's like a perfect conference. Big East, Boston College, Cincy, Louisville, Pitt, Rutgers, Syracuse, UCF, UConn, Virginia Tech, West Virginia.
My only problem with this is that they need to take us from there and put us up there.
It's in order of, it's in
That's funny.
alphabetical order,
So
my boy. It's in alphabetical order, my boy.
I don't care. We'd kill them.
Can we
We'd kill them. That spelling wouldn't matter.
Start taking the title and say the West Virginia University?
Okay.
I don't see any reason why not to be snobby.
Just because, Ohio State likes to be better than everybody else, so why can't we?
The West Virginia University.
I like it. I like the Big East.
A top research school in the country.
And then the independents was BYU, Northwestern, Notre Dame, and Vandy. I don't like having independents.
I don't like
think
having
it's dumb.
I don't like having Vandy in there, but
Yeah.
There's ways around that. Not terrible. The moral of the story is NCAA reline to conferences that make sense.
yeah.
My conference realignment, much better.
I don't remember yours. You'll have to bring it up again when we do the
You'd
Saving
agree.
College Football
We
podcast.
will do it over the summer because that will give us plenty of time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
plan out
I've already locked mine in, boys.
realignments.
I'm waiting on you.
And
I'll probably have mine
also,
somewhere.
we have plans over the summer to do a pick 'em for every single conference next year and every team.
Yes.
So
It's going to be so fun. When Playoff Predictors website gets it updated, we're going to cook.
it'll be awesome. You have anything else we want to talk about?
I don't. I just wanted to talk about it because it was news that Josh Pate thinks he's all cool and stuff and is going to be conference commissioner, where it's really going to be me.
That's true.
So,
All I'm saying is
Do we get to vote? I'll vote for you.
I know you will.
I'd get an MS from Pate State. I don't think there'd be anything wrong with going to Pate State for your grad studies in football.
I agree.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. So, like we were saying earlier, right? We're good.
I'm done.
Okay.
We're great.
Yeah, y'all just started looking at me,
Happy
and I'm
to
like,
be
hold
here.
on, am I
No.
forgetting some? All right. So, yeah, that will definitely do it for this episode. So, like we were saying earlier, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on all of our socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We got all three. Go ahead and give us a like over there and follow. We miss having Max.
We'll see you on next week's show.
But Max will be on next week's show. Everything will be back to normal. So that's going to go ahead and do it for us. So from me and from Tyler and from Matt, we'll see you on the next episode.
Goodbye, America. Started from the bottom, now we up.